Sports 630 KIDO, KIDOAM.com, Terry Ford Show. NBA playoffs tonight, the draft lottery tonight. Let's talk some hoops with our buddy Kevin Burke from HoopDoctors.com. Hey, man.
Terry,
what's up, buddy? What's okay? Big NBA lottery tonight. You set? You psyched? You ready to roll?
I'm ready to go. Saw the Mavericks. They've been off for like a week and a half, 2 months, 3 months, however long it's been.
I swear to God.
I'm ready to go.
Now, before we get to the draft lottery, which this is the year you're going, oh, great, I got the ping pong balls this year. Awesome. But first, let's take a look tonight, Dallas and Oklahoma City. Now, it's weird. Dallas has one guy that's unguardable. Oklahoma City has two. But Dallas seems to have more good players in Oklahoma City. And maybe because, and I've been saying this today, because I'm an old fart, maybe I'm leaning toward the old farts because the window's about to slam shut on Dirk's hand. When Oklahoma City, those guys are all 17 years old and they got a lot of window. I'm leaning toward Dallas. I don't know, but I don't know, man. You help me out.
Yeah, I am too. I picked Mavs in 6.
So did I. I said 6.
Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma City is like the sexiest team to pick in the entire NBA. When picking a game where they got Westbrook and Durant, but those two guys cannot get out of each other's way. I mean, they seriously can't. And before I get to Dallas, Westbrook, came under a lot of fire because he's shooting too much. Blah, blah, blah. Well, he is shooting too much, but it's kind of a catch-22 as far as he's concerned. When he was at UCLA, he was a shooter. He kind of played off the ball to Darren Collison, who is now with the Pacers. Collison was the point guard. Right. Westbrook was a shooter. Well, they drafted Westbrook to be a point guard to Kevin Durant. Well, you know what? He really was never that. So I see it both ways. Westbrook is playing his game, but at the same point, the Thunder shouldn't have drafted a guy who's a shoot-first guy to play a point guard. But it's neither here nor there. But when you outshoot Kevin Durant 13 times in one game, there is a cause for concern. You know what? He is the NBA's leading scorer. There's no way he should be outshot on his own team. Logically, that makes no sense. But as far as Dallas is concerned, for what you said, they get their veteran laden. They have a very, very deep bench. Jason Terry said he'll outscore Oklahoma City's bench by himself. That remains to be seen. Well, I do think they'll get by in this series because what I saw, I think there's going to be some kind of mix-up. Kevin Durant is not being used to his full potential because he's not getting the ball in position to score. Westbrook would rather keep the ball. And Westbrook is good enough to be a face of a team, but not on this team, not playing with that guy. There's too much. That's going to explode, I think, in this series.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sooner or later, we're talking to Kevin Burke, HoopDoctors.com. Go read Kevin's work at Sports 630 KIDO, KIDOAM.com, Terry Ford Show. The Durant-Westbrook thing, the way I see it playing out is Kevin Durant will be the face of the Oklahoma City Thunder until he's 50. He loves it there. He likes the laid-back vibe of Oklahoma City, doesn't want the bright lights. He wants to be the big fish in the small pond. Russell Westbrook, you hit it, went to UCLA. He's a Cali guy. The Lakers are going to need a franchise face coming up in a couple of years, Kevin. I think Russell Westbrook going back home to play for the Lakers, I see that's the way this thing plays out because these two guys cannot coexist together, and you hit it on the head. If Russell Westbrook was Chris Paul, yes. He's not. He's a two-guard in a shooting guard's body, and you bring up with Derrick Rose, I'll say the same thing about Russell Westbrook. What's wrong with making Russell Westbrook a 2?
I completely agree. I don't know why we're so, hell-bent on a guy. He's 6'3". He cannot be a shooting guard. Why not? I really would like to know why not. And, I mean, Westbrook definitely, Durant just signed a 6-year extension during the last season, so he'll be there for a while. He seems to like it. I wrote an article, it was entitled, Can Westbrook and Durant Coexist? I don't know past Westbrook's current contract if they can because Westbrook is less of a point guard than Derrick Rose is. Yes. He loves to shoot. It's not going to work. While Derrick Rose is humble, I think if hypothetically, if LeBron James went to Chicago last year, I think Derrick Rose would have been fine with it. He would not have been the MVP, but he would have been fine, I think, playing alongside another great player. Whereas Westbrook, I don't see that same. He's not nearly as humble as Rose. And I think it's going to be a problem long term because, again, if he played, in my opinion, if Westbrook played with any other guy in the league shooting at the same volume, I'd have no problem with that. But he is the scoring champ. You cannot outshoot the scoring champ. It doesn't make any sense. How does that make any sense? So it's going to blow up.
It makes
eventually.
no sense. We're talking to Kevin Burke, HoopDoctors.com, at Sports 630 KIDO, KIDO.com. Terry Fortune. One last thing about that before we move on. Watching Durant in Game 7, and dude, it's something about this league today. And I don't know why. Again, it's just maybe we all grew up watching different players, emulating different players. But Kevin Durant, and they acted like this was a stroke of genius in Game 7. Because they were overplaying him to shoot his jumper, he was cutting to the basket. And everybody went, how about that? Like no one's ever people have been doing it for 100 years. When someone's guarding you out by the 3-point line or on the perimeter and they're taking away your jumper, there's this thing called backdoor cuts, and there's this thing called cutting to the rim. And they just players today, and as good as the 3-point shot has been for the game, as bad as it is coach. If you can shoot the three, your coach wants you on the 3-point line, and that's it. Don't move. Stay on the 3-point line. Or if you're going to move, we're going to run you on the baseline and put you on the other side of the 3-point line. Guys don't learn how to play the game anymore, Kevin, especially if they got a good three shot.
I completely agree. 8 out of 10 times when Durant catches the ball from a Westbrook in a half-court set, it's either 18 feet or behind the 3-point line, somewhere around there, and he will settle for that shot. I mean, he's probably one of the top 5 toughest covers in the league because of his height and his length and what he can do with the ball. Take advantage of that. Maximize that. You're absolutely right. If you pump fake a guy, they're all going to jump. There's no more discipline on defense. They're all going to go for your pump fake. Take 2 dribbles in, and you never know what may happen. Draw, foul, 15-footer, 10-footer, floater, whatever. But you're absolutely right. A guy has a 3-point shot. They just rely so heavily on it. Every year in the NBA, it seems like there's a new all-time record for 3-pointers made in the season. It was just broken this year. I think it was broken like 3 years ago. It always happens. It's like a vicious cycle. We need some sort of fundamentals back in the game, but everyone's trying to make the top 10 on SportsCenter. So that's what's selling tickets, and that's what's selling jerseys. So we're going to be here for a while.
Kevin Burke, HoopDoctors.com, Sports 630 KIDO, KIDO.com. Terry Fortune. Okay. Now the Heat lost this series. That was 3 wins for the Bulls, right, Kevin? That was that win was worth 3. It feels like it. And look,
that's what it felt like. Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit the Bulls punched them in the jimmy for 2 quarters. That whole second half, the Bulls, physically dominated them on the boards, defensively, and Miami wilted. I'll be the first to admit. And if the Bulls continue, first of all, the Bulls shoot like that from 3, Miami just go home, season's over.
Right.
But that being said, it was 1 game. And last time I checked, you can make adjustments. I think we're going to see a lot about the Heat, not so much because how are they going to react? Hell, Dwayne Wade's got a ring. LeBron James has been in the finals. These guys aren't dopes. But I guess as a team and with Eric Estrada, the head coach, it's going to be interesting to see how the adjustments are made and how the Heat come out, because that's the first time really in these playoffs that they've been smacked.
Everything that could have gone wrong for the Heat went wrong in that game, and everything that could have went right for Chicago went exactly right. I got the Heat in 7. I still do. The Bulls have beat the Heat 4 times this year, 3 times in the regular season, and 1, of course, a few days ago. So now we're asking, based on the fact that I picked the Heat in 7, I'm asking the Heat to beat the Bulls 3 out of the next 6, keeping in mind that they just lost the previous 4 games to them.
Right.
So numbers are not even in my favor, but so Chris Bosh had 30 points and 9 rebounds. I mean, Chris Bosh last series admitted that the TD Garden in Boston intimidated him. Well, I'm not sure what it is about the United Center that's not as scary, because he had a great game, 30 points and 9 rebounds. If Bosh James and Wade are going to wake up. They're not going to have 18 and 15 points respectively. I think what Chicago did, and I think it was strategic on the part of Tom Thibodeau, they exerted all their effort on containing Wade and James on the perimeter. And they said, you know what? If they're going to beat us with Bosh, let them beat us with Bosh. We can live with that. I think that's kind of what happened. They seem kind of lax on them, while, Dang especially, Luol Deng played great perimeter defense on LeBron. But you can't contain those guys. I don't see how you can beat Wade and James 4 out of 7 times. I just really don't see that. Considering the fact that I think the Bulls are way ahead of pace. They're way ahead of schedule. I think they're going to come back to earth at some point. Todd Gibson, you're not going to get that out of him again. Carlos Boozer is kind of, here one day, gone the next. The Heat are just a more talented team, and you're not going to – everything – it was Murphy's Law in both directions, and I expect adjustments in Game 2. I expect the Heat to come out and win Game 2.
And by the way, I took the Heat in 7 also. So, Jays, how boring are you? How boring are you and I? And the last one, if you win the ping pong ball, can you pass this year?
I would. I would. Yeah, seriously. I mean, who are you going to pick? Who are you going to pick? I mean,
the guy that played 11 games his freshman year at Duke.
He seems very, silky smooth, and probably was the most talented guy on that roster. But still, I mean, I don't. Yeah. He played 11 games. You're right. I have no idea. Yeah. He played 11. I really have no idea. Are the Cavs? I mean, they have Baron Davis there at the point guard. If the Cavs get the number 1 pick, but I mean, even so, the last time the team who had the best chance of getting the number 1 pick actually got the number 1 pick was the Magic in 2004 when they took Dwight Howard. So who knows who's going to get that pick? And I would pass, absolutely, like you're suggesting. Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad.
Kevin Burke, HoopDoctors.com. Check it out, www.hoopdoctors.com. Like always, brother, it's good, and we'll bug you again next week.
Sounds good, my friend.
Thank you, pal. All right, Sports 630 KIDO, KIDOAM.com.